In an emotional visit to Southport, King Charles offered a brief but poignant update on his health as he met with locals affected by last month's tragic knife attack. The King, who has been quietly undergoing treatment for cancer, made the journey to the Merseyside town to offer his personal condolences and support to a community still reeling from a horrific event. Hundreds of people gathered outside Southport Town Hall to catch a glimpse of the monarch, who was there to honour the memory of 3 young girls, Bebe King, 6, Elsie Stancombe, 7, and Alice da Silva Aguirre, 9, whose lives were tragically cut short in a senseless knife attack. The atmosphere was a mix of sombre reflection and heartfelt support as the King arrived. The crowd, clearly moved by his presence, erupted into applause and cheers, with some shouting, "God save the King." Among them was Lindsay Hislop, a 43-year-old local resident and self-proclaimed big royalist. As first reported by the Mirror, Lindsay had the rare opportunity to speak directly with King Charles and, concerned about his well-being amid his ongoing cancer treatment, asked him how he was feeling. In a characteristically understated response, the King simply said, "I'm not too bad." Lindsay later shared her thoughts with the media, expressing her admiration for the royal family and her appreciation for the King's visit, particularly given the difficult circumstances. She noted that her son, a police officer, had been on duty during the recent riots, making the King's visit even more meaningful to her and her family. As King Charles slowly made his way along the line of well-wishers, the emotional weight of the occasion was palpable. Many in the crowd were visibly moved to tears as they watched the King pause to reflect on the sea of floral tributes, teddy bears, and balloons that had been laid in memory of the young victims. The King appeared to show a deep sense of empathy, affectionately patting a young girl on the shoulder and engaging in a brief but heartfelt conversations with many of those who had come to see him. At one point he remarked, "Look at all the flowers," acknowledging the outpouring of grief and solidarity that had brought the community together. He also expressed concern for the crowd, hoping that people hadn't been waiting too long to see him. Following his time outside the town hall, the King was shown inside to meet privately with survivors of the attack and their families, as well as the family liaison officers who have been providing crucial support to those affected. This private meeting was a key part of his visit, offering a more intimate moment for the King to express his condolences and support directly to those who have endured unimaginable loss and trauma. The visit to Southport is part of King Charles's broader efforts to remain actively engaged with the communities affected by the tragedy. Ahead of his arrival, Buckingham Palace issued a statement emphasising that the King's visit was a demonstration of his continued support for those impacted by the brutal attack. The palace also noted that the King would be meeting with the bereaved families from Southport in London the following day, continuing his commitment to offering solace and support to those who have suffered. The tragic event that prompted the King's visit occurred when a knifeman entered a Taylor Swift-themed holiday club at the Heartspace Community Centre and carried out a shocking attack that claimed the lives of 3 young girls and left 10 others seriously injured. The event has deeply shaken the community, and the King's visit is seen as a vital gesture of unity and compassion during this difficult time. In addition to meeting with survivors and their families, King Charles took the opportunity to personally thank the frontline emergency staff who had responded to the attack. At Southport Community Fire Station, he met with representatives from Merseyside's emergency services and local community groups, offering his gratitude for their bravery and ongoing service to the local community. Despite his ongoing battle with cancer, King Charles continues to fulfil his royal duties with unwavering dedication. After arriving at Southport, he returned to Balmoral Castle in Scotland as part of his summer break. However, even during this time, the King has been diligently working on his government red boxes and performing state duties, as confirmed by sources close to the palace. His commitment to his role as monarch, even in the face of personal health challenges, has been widely admired and appreciated. The King's visit to Southport follows a statement released by Buckingham Palace shortly after the attack, in which King Charles condemned the incident as a truly appalling attack. His words echo the sentiments of a nation mourning the loss of innocent lives and seeking solace in the face of such senseless violence. GBNews' Cameron Walker also was in Southport for the visit of the King yesterday.
Cameron, we're just looking at live pictures from Southport where King Charles appears to be meeting and greeting members of the local community. Cameron, remind us exactly who he's meeting today and what message he's trying to get across.
Yes, Emily, so these live pictures you're seeing now of the King meeting some of the members of the local community, these have been specially selected for their role in going above and beyond in the initial aftermath of the attack on the 29th of July, as well as clearing up, essentially, after the riots, which immediately followed that attack where 3 young girls tragically lost their lives. So one man there who you can just see next to the lady in the pink who the King is greeting, he actually was involved in maintaining, I suppose, a sea of flowers with floral tributes which have been left outside the town hall and meeting them. The King is just wandering, coming over now to greet members of the general public who have been waiting very patiently for hours and hours to meet His Majesty the King. Of course, it was all kept very much a secret until this morning that the King would be coming to Southport. And Patrick, I heard you mention earlier, why has it taken kind of 3 weeks for His Majesty the King to come and meet members of the local community? From my understanding, he always wanted to. He's been given daily updates of the situation here in Southport and indeed the riots across the country. But by, of course, the King coming here, it takes a lot of police security, it takes a lot of organisation, and he didn't want to add an extra burden onto the police if they are clearly dealing with the aftermath of such a horrific attack and indeed the subsequent riots. So that's why now everything has died down a bit. The King has decided now is the moment to come to Southport. Of course, he's interrupted his own holiday to come here, perhaps giving you an indication of just how seriously and important he is taking this, and he really thinks it is important to spend time with the local community, show his support as he has done really for the last 3 weeks or so. He put out an initial statement, or Buckingham Palace did on his behalf, on the 29th of July, on the day of the attack, saying how shocked he was at the utterly horrific attack. Inside the town hall in the last half an hour or so, the King has met even in private some of the survivors from that Southport attack at the Taylor Swift concert. So I'll just put the microphone close to him and see if we can pick up what he's saying. King Charles there meeting some members of the local community. And he's just skipping past the press pen, as you can probably imagine. We're about 2 meters away from him, but members of the public. Let's see if we can grab a word with members of the public. Excuse me. Oh, she's gone. Yes. Did you get to see King Charles? I'm just going to, Patrick, introduce you to a lady who's been waiting a while, if that's okay. How was it just seeing King Charles?
Oh, it was quite special. It was lovely to see him. So tragic in the circumstances that's brought him here, but I'm sure the family will take comfort from all that.
And what does it mean that His Majesty has come here to Southport in the aftermath of such a horrific attack?
It's very special indeed. For the community as well, you know, the community have come together with all this tragic circumstances, but yes, beautiful.
Thank you very much for speaking to me. And of course, community has been a key theme here of King Charles's visits. And following this walkabout here, His Majesty is going to be going to the local fire station here, where he will be meeting members of the emergency services who were involved in that initial aftermath of the attack, as well as those who were clearly dealing with the riots which took place. And a key theme that His Majesty really wanted to emphasise here in Southport is community cohesion, and he will be meeting some faith leaders from different faiths here in Southport. If you remember, immediately after, a couple of days after, there was some quite violent disorder outside of the local mosque here, and one of King Charles's key themes of his life's work, really, even when he was Prince of Wales, was community cohesion and getting different community faith groups to talk to each other.
Indeed, no, absolutely. And I think, Cameron, another aspect to this is that actually King Charles himself does appear to look quite well, which is, I think, very good, considering he's had his own health issues recently, hasn't he? So he appears to be looking quite well, I think, at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does, Patrick, considering it was only March or February that Buckingham Palace announced that he was undergoing cancer treatment. He does appear very well. He appears very much in good spirits, full of energy. Clearly he wants to engage with members of the public. There was a time on medical advice that he wasn't allowed to be around large crowds for obvious reasons, perhaps to do with his immunity with cancer treatments. But come April, we saw him on Easter Sunday greet members of the public outside St George's Chapel in Windsor. And with the summer months, calls for more outdoor engagements, and the King clearly spending a lot of time outside in the warmer weather-ish here in August, even though bitterly cold wind. He is able to do that, and I think him being head of state, at moments like this, part of his role is providing that reassurance that this country can continue, even in the face of such unimaginable tragedy where 3 young girls lose their lives in such horrific circumstances. He can come here to the community affected, bring people together and really emphasise that community spirit, and also thank those who really did go above and beyond for their communities. As I was mentioning at the start of my piece here, speaking to those members, like a local ice cream shop, for example, giving out free ice creams to emergency services. The King has met the owner of that particular ice cream shop. The man involved in looking after the Sea of Flowers, which still very much remains here more than 3 weeks on from that horrific attack, as well as a local building merchant who was involved in rebuilding walls which were knocked down and glass which was smashed after the riots here in Southport. So it's all of those areas which the King is really wanting to highlight here in Southport, and of course meeting members of the local community and the survivors of that horrific attack at the Taylor Swift themed dance class. And tomorrow the King will be in London, where he will be meeting the bereaved families of those 3 young girls too.
As King Charles continues his duties, both public and private, his visit to Southport stands as a powerful reminder for the role the monarchy plays in offering comfort and stability during times of national tragedy. His presence in Southport, alongside his ongoing efforts to connect with those affected by the attack, highlights the enduring bond between the royal family and the people they serve. Daniel Smith, GB News.